Mush-a-ring-a-ma-dur-a-ma-da.
So this is Brimfield.
Whack for the daddy-o.
Never know where these people come
For the
from.
daddy-o, there's whiskey in the jar.
So that is day 3 of selling down. Day 4 at Brimfield. Yeah, I sold some things. I mean, it wasn't like amazing, but I sold some things. Wasn't terrible. Pretty good, actually. Pretty good. Now we're gonna go walk around and talk to some of our fellow sellers here and see
Whack
what's up.
for the daddy-o. Whack for the daddy-o, there's whiskey in the jar.
I heard this was the party end of the field.
This is the party end of the
we're
field.
hobnobbing.
See that flashing sign?
Yes,
It says hobnob.
it
What
certainly
doesn't
does.
say is hobnob. Well, I'm Alexander. That's Maria. That's
And I am Linda from downtown Boston. What's your total Brimfield time?
Oh, total Brimfield time would be 40 years at least.
My wife and I started doing this together 43 years ago because that's how we paid for her engagement ring.
We've been in this field for 35 years.
My partner friend Kent and I have been doing these shows for more than 14 years.
How long have you been coming here?
30 years.
Look at her.
And
How old are you, Rosie?
I'm going to be 74.
And she drives her own truck from
Five
New Jersey.
ton, a 5-ton moving truck from Delaware.
I'm 17 years of age. I've been doing architectural salvage with my dad for about 5 years now. This current show, this July, starts my 5th year.
This is my 6th year. And I work for a guy and I sell that
Buy one,
stuff
get
for
one.
him.
I've been coming for 12 years.
One of our neighbors down there.
so how long have you been coming here?
A couple years.
Yeah?
With
No,
Jody.
you were.
You're
you're not sleeping with me.
No, but you
babies
were.
in this bunch.
Yeah, I'm a baby.
But loving it?
And I love it. Yeah, I love it here. This is my first
Even though you
July.
didn't even make money. You're still loving it?
You were.
Well, like,
gotta agree.
yeah, like
here
she
with
says,
Tony?
it's a paid vacation.
But in the early days, I was a different kind of person. I would saunter around for 3 hours on maybe one day. But from 28 years ago,
We started the second show they did here.
We started all the way down at the end, and we slowly worked our way up where you are right now. And then we got this spot. We've been on this spot for about 26 years.
This is our 2nd year here in New England Motel Fields. Prior to that, we were across the street at Central Park. It's way better than being at Central Park.
The people here are great. The staff here are fantastic. You know, the stuff has a lot of history. I learn a lot from doing the shows. I'm 17. I get to be my own boss, and I have a lot of fun. It works really well. I enjoy being here.
Well, I've been buying and selling since I was like 5. I took care of myself at 5. My mother worked 3rd shift and my father was a drunk. So she would make my breakfast and go to bed, and then I was on my own the rest of the day. Used to go to the dump, get bike parts and build bikes and sell them to kids in the neighborhood. So I started young.
My father had a movie theater, but it was a regular movie theater. And then he sold it, and then it was a porno theater. We had an 11-room apartment over the movie theater. The one movie they showed was the Deep Throat. We went down and see that a couple of times. And the one time I was down there was when the police came and raided the theater and closed it down. My father used to have in his,
what was I mentioning?
where his bedroom was
They're talking
originally
about,
was
oh, well, nobody knew Johnny
the
Depp.
office, and there was a little French window there with curtains on it, so you could always open it and watch, see whatever was on the screen. If we wanted to watch a dirty movie, we used to go in my mother's room, and they weren't looking, and we could look out that window. When my daughter was born, my mother and I would take her up to see my mother and father. They were still living there. My mother used to tell her to put her hands over her eyes and
I
run.
remember her. Not as a wicked witch.
I was in the convent for 2 years.
She was in a convent.
I was in a convent. The Sisters of the Holy Family of Nazareth, and it was in Philadelphia, Nazareth Academy. And when you walked in, huge mural on the wall, nuns who had dug their graves, and the Nazis were, they were Polish nuns, you know, with the guns there. But the reason, and I had ulterior motives for going into the convent. My mother said I could not go to college. She wasn't going to send her daughters to college. There were 7 daughters and 1 son. So my brother was going to go to college. I go, well, if I go into the convent, they'll send me to college. So that was my
Did it work?
I didn't last that long. But no, but my mother, no, the other thing my mother said was, if you want a college education, marry one, marry the university president. So,
Here's the odd thing, if you're going to put this on YouTube. When I met this woman, I met her because she had certain kinds of things that I like. Mostly she has stuff that I don't like at all. But she had old hotel silver, and I like architecture history and connected with it, hotel silver. So I was in retirement but doing dealing. So I met her, and within a short time we were talking about I don't know why we were talking about my early life or whatever, but as you put it, I was talking about my dean at Brandeis when I was an undergraduate, and it turns out, who later became a president of many colleges. So I'm telling her about this wonderful man, and she says, Peter Diamandopoulos.
should I tell this man that I was married to him?
And here I am, I found her, and she was married to my hero when I was in college.
Wow. Were you still married to him?
It wasn't a hair or her. That's for damn sure.
No, not at mine.
He died.
At that time.
Oh, okay.
Oh, he died.
On April Fool's 2015.
But you didn't divorce him, he died.
No, she did.
I divorced
him.
And,
Okay, that's right.
And he died.
And
he
then
did
he
both of them.
Both can
She
happen.
divorced first and
Both
then he
can
died.
happen, my dear, yes. And Brimfield is full of this.
Is that your cat?
I don't want him again.
Yeah, where is it?
I don't know, it's around somewhere. How did you end up bringing a cat to Brimfield?
Well, I can't leave it home. He needs to eat like 5 to 7 times a day.
Oh, wow.
He's only got 5 teeth,
Who's good alcohol?
so he can't eat dry food. It has to be wet food. So, you know,
How
that
old
has
is
to
he?
probably 15.
Are you a cat lady?
No,
No.
But you
not a
rescued
cat
any
lady,
animal.
but I got 10 black cats in my yard.
How does a non-cat lady end up with 10 black cats in her yard?
People just dump them off on my property. So I just have to feed them and give them shelter.
Yeah.
But I don't go out and pick and choose.
Yeah.
It's whatever comes, you know, that's it.
She never put.
I never-
Sends them away.
I don't send them away.
This is the most wonderful place to find the backstories of people. She knows a guy who had famous Thursday $1 table. He only retired last year. You know, and I'm talking and he sells $1 things, tables full of $1 things. Ladies of a certain age line up on Thursday at 1 o'clock to buy his stuff. We bought his stuff, so we would sit there in the afternoon and have scotches. And Eric's pulling out pictures. Well, this is what I did in my early youth, you know, Eric, that's an airplane. What is that airplane full of? He said, in the Vietnam War, I flew drugs for the CIA. I said, not really. He said, oh yes. Look at these pictures,
Wow.
Alex. Look, there's me with bales of opium right there. He said, and I did this for the private contractor for the CIA. I did it for 4 years. How do you think I have that house? And he lives. He's doing a $1 table here.
Yeah.
The man lives. He lives in a beautiful, Georgian revival on a hill with acreage and barns and things. And I'm looking at that house saying, even I, who once had a considerable amount of money, never set myself up in such state, you know. And I live in a homeless state actually in Boston now, but it wasn't always that way.
So do you actually live in a cardboard house in the
Yeah, he
winter?
does. He's homeless.
And I learned from another homeless man, so I know how to open them all up and interleave, you know, the flaps, so that you can actually build a house. But I don't mind it. I consider it another venture in my life. I once was a person, not so long ago, within the decade, who owned and collected important, unique objects.
Yeah.
So when my house burned down, that was my livelihood. It was the last of my retirement. So my house burned to the ground, but I burned. I was very badly burned and was in the hospital for a long time. Amazingly, who knew this? After all the years I've been here. After the fire, 6 or 7 years ago, I met Maria before that. So she knew me as a plausible middle-class person, maybe even a prosperous middle-class person. But after the fire,
Really
you
good.
know, I asked her if
And
I
I'm
could
like
sleep in
drinking
her
the beer,
tent.
like, oh my god, this is the worst beer in the world.
And when I come here, I know I have a little community of people I like.
I love our neighbors. Known them for 5 shows now. They come and go, but pretty much stay the same. I sent cards to Bobby. I sent Christmas cards to Joan. When Bill was in your spot, I sent Christmas cards to him. He lives in Maine. I can't forget. I can't remember.
I hope
his
I get
name.
a Christmas card.
You got to give me your address. You got to come back.
A lot of people up here, when I started selling on eBay, told me over my dead body will I sell on eBay, and a lot of those make their living on eBay now.
And some of the ones that don't probably don't make a living anymore.
Right, exactly. When I first started in 1997, you couldn't even put a picture. You just could do a description. And so you had to sell known items back then, like depression glass patterns and things like that, and Beanie Babies. They were huge. One of the things the internet did was found out that there's a lot more of everything than people really understood. And a guy I knew that specialized in toys had this black construction toy, and I don't remember what it was, but he said it was worth $10,000 because it was black. And he wanted to put it on the internet. So I taught him how to do the internet, showed him what to do. And just out of curiosity, I looked up that toy, and there was 3 others already on the internet for sale between $3,000 and $5,000 each. And they weren't selling. And he thought his was worth $10,000 because in all the years of doing toys, it was the only one he ever found in black. But there's actually a lot of them out there. When there's 4 on at the same time, it's not so rare.
I was probably thinking about selling my windows and shutters online. If I was going to, I'd probably be using Etsy or eBay or something like that. Definitely, a lot of companies like eBay and Etsy and have definitely possibly hurt the industry. But you know, in other ways, I've also seen it help the industry as people to actually outreach to other people and who normally wouldn't come to a flea market. And in other aspects, I've also seen it hurt because it's breaking that meeting the people and actually interacting with them.
What happens is in this business, the antique dealers get older, and the new wave is so tiny, and the old wave sadly dies or goes away, and you just hear a little whisper of a goodbye, but that's the best you ever get because you only know them at the Brimfields.
I don't like seeing people go, generally, but I know people retire, and people do this for a living now after they actually officially retire, and then they retire from doing flea markets and such a couple years afterwards. But, you know, I don't know if there will be flea markets 10, 20 years in the future, because it seems to be a dying art. I don't want it to be, but that's the way it's going.
That's what's slowly happening here. We were talking about it before you came, about how the whole zeitgeist has changed.
I'll put your gloves
But even in my 28 years, it changed many times.
The younger generation wants to just buy it off of eBay or Amazon.
But what if you can't buy it on Amazon or eBay?
You know, then it's more than likely just going to get lost to history.
Do you know that all the stuff we love and trade in is headed for oblivion? Who knows how? But I will tell you right now, all the empires of ancient times are gone, and even this debris, even the things that were bought by you and valued, you know, my family, I told you, the fancy side, nobody wanted any of the spectacular late 19th century silver. Not one kid wanted one Tiffany vase, or don't want it. So it will, and somebody will buy it who likes it, but I assure you, in 100 years, only a few of those will survive. They will have been, I studied when I was a young man at Brandeis undergraduate archaeology. And from that, even though they don't teach you philosophy of archaeology, you learn how transient objects are. It's still lovely to have an aesthetic. Oh, high school, 1968, Alexander Cassie, voted most likely to succeed. Where do you find me? 70 years old, 69, sitting under a couple of trees with a whole bunch of other people who had a whole different lives.
Of all the money that e'er I had, I spent it in good company, and of all the harm that e'er I've done, alas, it was to none but me. And all I've done for want of wit to memory now I can't recall. So fill to me the parting glass. Good night and joy be with you all. So fill to me the parting glass and drink a health whate'er befalls. Then gently rise and softly call. Good night and joy be with you all.